Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, what are the chances that Ezekiel Elliott suits up for the Cowboys this Sunday? Plus, Joel Klatt joins the show to break down Alabama's dominant win against Florida State. And should Tim Tebow consider his first season as a baseball player a success? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Let's get to the latest on Ezekiel Elliott. The deadline for arbitrator Harold Henderson to make a decision on Elliott's appeal is today at 4 p.m. Eastern. If no ruling is made, Elliott will automatically be eligible to play on Sunday in Dallas' season opener against the Giants. Last week, the NFLPA requested a temporary restraining order asking a Texas court to block any suspension, but the NFL has filed a motion to dismiss the federal case. Jason Garrett says Elliott will continue to practice until, quote, someone tells him not to. So, Skip, will Zeke play on Sunday?
You know, it's interesting because I'm often told on this show, after I win yet another debate, that I should have been a lawyer, a trial lawyer. And so, for the first time ever, I think I'm going to get to play one on TV because there's going to be a lot of legalese here. So bear with me.
Okay.
But the lawyer in me tells me that, number one, Ezekiel Elliott will be eligible to play this coming Sunday night at Jerry World against those New York Football Giants. And I cannot wait to talk about the Giants on the field in our next topic. Stop it, Ben McAdoo.
Hater.
Number two, the lawyer in me tells me that I believe Ezekiel Elliott will be eligible to play all 19 of the Cowboy games this year. And, of course, I'm counting the Super Bowl in the 19. And again, you can accuse me of heart over head and that I'm letting the Cowboy fan in me speak or scream. But I don't think so because I see this unfolding this way. I'm going to say this again. I see no way the NFL can back off a 6-game domestic violence suspension. I believe you believe that, and I believe you believe that. Because if they do, I believe that Roger Goodell will look even worse than he did Ray Rice-wise, Josh Brown-wise. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I think there's no way you can say, okay, you only beat her up 4 days instead of 6 days. Or by any measure of, you didn't hurt her that badly. You only hurt her this badly, right? So you would just look so bad. You have to stand by your 6 games, even though I could argue that in court, if it does, and it will go to court, you could look like you at least tried to compromise if you reduced from 6 to 4. But again, you put a label on it, you called it domestic violence, and unless you change that label on appeal, which I don't think they can do, you have to stick with the 6 games. So I believe that Harold Henderson does not rule by 4 p.m. today. Why is that? Because the NFL made a good point last night when its lawyers filed a counter motion saying, well, wait a second. How can you ask a judge to rule on something that we haven't even ruled on ourselves? Well, that's a decent point. And again, they were trying to beat the NFL to the punch to get jurisdiction to get it filed in the state of Texas, in Sherman, Texas. And yet, I think if Harold Henderson waits past the 4 p.m. deadline, it's still going to be ruled on in court today at 6 p.m. Eastern. It'll be 5 o'clock in Sherman, Texas. And I think the judge, if Harold Henderson doesn't rule, I think he'll be stuck saying, what am I supposed to say here? We don't have a ruling yet. And I think he will throw it out. And, of course, the Cowboy fan in me has already researched the background of one Amos Mazant, who is the judge in question here. Yes. And I was hoping he was from the state of Texas. Maybe he grew up a Cowboy fan, but he's from Pittsburgh, went to University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, okay.
He did go to Baylor Law School, but I'm like, I don't know if he's a big Cowboy fan or not.
Hard.
I think he's got, wouldn't you think?
I would assume
Can you not grow up in the Pittsburgh area without being some sort of Steeler?
Really permitted, no.
And isn't there some Cowboy hatred built into that? Maybe it's not hatred, but it's just...
It shouldn't be hatred. That's the way they've dominated you guys in Super Bowls.
That's true. It's a respectful rivalry, if nothing else. So then I believe that Harold Henderson will wait until the end of the day on Friday to uphold the 6-game suspension. So now it'll be a race back to the courts, but the NFL might have the edge there to get it filed elsewhere. What happened in Tom Brady? They got it filed in Manhattan. But I'm going to remind you of 2 things. Tom Brady got his case pushed back for an entire football season. Remember that? The whole first season passed and he stayed eligible, correct?
Right.
And number 2, Tom Brady did beat the NFL at its own game in its own backyard. He did win round 1 in Manhattan before it went to appeals court in Indianapolis, right? Bottom line, I think Ezekiel Elliott has a better case than Tom Brady had against the NFL, mainly because 2 police departments investigated this accuser and both decided after interviewing her not to charge Zeke in either Columbus, Ohio or Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And as we talked about on Friday, Kia Roberts, Roger Goodell's director of investigations, turned on him, I thought blew the whistle on him, ratted him out, if you will. Maybe that's a little harsh, but I think that's basically what she did. And she declared that she concluded no suspension for Ezekiel Elliott and that she was the only one in the NFL to interview the accuser, not just once, but she interviewed her 6 times, according to the documents filed. So that is such a stronger case than even Brady had that I think it will stand up in court for a while. So I'm going to see this dragging on through the courts through the whole football season. Now, what happens after that? We can go back to Article 46.
Right.
Absolute power handed over to Goodell back in 2011 when the NFLPA folded and gave in and went ahead and signed the collective bargaining agreement. I get that. But I still think they have such a strong case and they have such deep pockets behind them in Jerry Jones subsidizing and Jeffrey Kessler, that bulldog who's been a thorn in the side of the NFL for so long, directing the Zeke's case here, that in the end, I think they got a shot to at least get this, to have the quote-unquote stay of execution for a year. And I don't know, maybe this is the first time the NFL loses in court, even Article 46 notwithstanding.
Skip, let me ask you a question. So, in other words, you're saying you believe he plays. You believe he plays because Harold Henderson vacates the ruling that Commissioner Goodell sits down? No. Or it goes to Texas court and then they put an injunction on it?
I'm not even sure it's going to wind up in Texas court now. I think they're going to get beaten at their first game, NFLPA, and because there's nothing to rule on today, that this judge, Amos Mazant from Pittsburgh, will throw this out. I just think he'll throw it out. I don't know what he can't do anything but throw it out. And then their lawyers will prepare, the NFL side, to get ready. It's going to be a race for jurisdiction. Where do you file?
But if they throw it out, Skip, if
there's nothing to file?
Right. If they rule before 4 o'clock, there's really nothing they can do because he would be suspended for game 1 unless you get an emergency injunction. Am I correct?
Yeah, but you can get the injunction.
Yeah.
I think they'll get, if by 4 o'clock he says 6 games, I believe they'll get the injunction.
So in other words, you're saying that he'll get the injunction to be able to play Sunday, but you don't, what about for the rest of the season?
Then, then it's going to court, and it's going to court in the state of Texas from that point forward. But again, if he waits past 4 o'clock, then
he's automatically eligible.
It burns them in their case in court because they'll have nothing to rule on because he hasn't ruled yet, right?
Correct.
But it will allow Zeke to play for sure on Sunday night if he waits.
See, Skip, I've gone back and forth, and I've looked into this a lot over the weekend, and I just don't see how Harold Henderson vacates the sentence that's handed down by Roger Goodell. Because if you look at Brian McCartney, who's the spokesman for the NFL, if you look at what he said, the commissioner, he looked at Kia Roberts' notes. And although it was very heavily noted, inconsistency, credibility issues, the commissioner still felt comfortable in handing out these 6 games. With that being said, Skip, the standard is so low. See, when you go into and we keep looking, and I had to stop this, and this is what really helped me. I got away from looking at this as a normal court proceedings. Because in a normal court proceedings, the defendant has a presumption of innocence until you prove him guilty. Well, you walk into the NFL court, you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. So even though he had the notes that Ms. Roberts had taken and from the alleged victim, he felt very comfortable. So it didn't matter what the inconsistency. It didn't matter if it was untruth. I believe 6 games. And we keep going back, well, he gave, Greg Hardy, when Harold Henderson ruled, he gave Greg Hardy, went from 10 to 4. Adrian Peterson was there, and Ray Rice. Skip, what you have to look at, and this is what I found out, is that Greg Hardy was grandfathered. This incident happened before they instituted the personal conduct policy.
Okay.
So it was it didn't pertain to him. Those 6 games didn't pertain to him. He could have fought it, but he said, you know what? I was wrong. I'm not going to fight it.
Plus, she dropped the case before the jury trial, just for the record.
Right.
Okay.
So he could have said, no, hold on, wait a minute. You gave Ray Rice 2 games. He could fought it from 4 to 2, but he says, you know what? I just want to go ahead and get on the field, get playing, and hopefully I can show that they made the right decision. Clearly, they didn't, because it didn't seem like he learned anything. Skip, he falls textbook under the personal conduct policy because Commissioner Goodell.
Zeke does. Okay.
Commissioner Goodell believes that he engaged in domestic violence against said alleged victim. So with that being said, Harold Henderson is in a very tough spot. Do I rule against my good friend, Jerry Jones, who I've known for over 2 decades, who invited me to his soiree at the Hall of Fame, or do I rule against my former boss?
Where's your bread buttered?
Former boss.
Former boss, thank you. Okay.
The former boss. And with that being said, Skip, it's hard for me to believe that the sentence will get vacated, so now get to the courts.
All right.
Okay.
But remember, it behooves Harold Henderson and Roger Goodell to wait this time and let Zeke play the first game, because it's going to get thrown out in court because the judge will have nothing to rule on.
Right.
So he would wait past 4 p.m. today.
So he'll play Sunday.
Okay, let him have Sunday. It's like pay us now, you pay later.
Right.
Because they're thinking that after Sunday, when this gets filed elsewhere, that maybe another judge will also throw it out when you have something to rule on, which is why I said Harold will wait to announce what Goodell once announced.
Right.
Late day Friday.
Right.
Because then it'll be a race back to the courts. Where are you going to get this filed? In New York or in Texas?
And this will make Jerry even more upset, Skip, because what we're finding out with health care, once you allow somebody to get something, it's hard to take it away from them. It's going to be hard. Now, Jerry's going to really dig in. You mean to tell me you let this guy play? And let's just say, for the sake of argument, Skip, he goes out there and rushes for $150, and they win this ball game.
Well, that's going to happen, but go ahead.
No, that's not what Ben McAdoo said. But we're going to talk about that later, Skip. We'll talk about that later. Skip, how do you let this young man play and then remove him from the equation? That's the situation that the NFL is up against. And I get what you're saying. Let it pass. Now the judge has to throw it out because there's been no ruling. Now we issue, let's just say for the sake of argument, they issue a ruling at some point this week. Maybe you think it's going to be Friday by 4 o'clock, and boom, now you
late day, where the NFLPA lawyers don't have any.
Don't have anything, and have to wait till Monday.
Right.
Correct. But Skip, Zeke is up against it because you know why? Article 46 says that the commissioner has the power that was given to him, signed off unanimously by all 32 owners and 31 of the 32 ball clubs, that he can dole out the punishment as he deems necessary. Not only can he hear the original case, he can also rule on the appeal. So, Skip, just think about this for a second. You go to court, and 12 men and women of your peers found you guilty. You says, I want to appeal that. But in the appellate court, those same 12 men and women hear the appeals process. Skip, what can transpire? What kind of information can you present that's going to help your argument this time around that didn't help it before? Because if you had evidence that could have got your innocence, wouldn't you have brought it in before so we don't even get to this point? This is why I don't think Zeke can win, for the simple fact, and they will all, Commissioner Goodell, anytime he talks about punishment, what do he always do, Skip? Article 46.
Okay. I don't know if he can win long term, but I believe he can win just the way Tom Brady won this year. I remind you again, Brady got to play a whole season before it started up in the offseason to go to Manhattan and then go to appellate court, right? And the only reason he stopped is it dragged on so close to the start of the next regular season, Brady finally said, okay, I'm going to eat the 4 games.
But you're saying that under the presumption that this Texas court is going to give Zeke a win like the New York court gave Brady a win. What if they don't? Then what do you do?
Okay, but as you know, it takes so long to even get this on the docket that I don't know if it'll get on the docket.
Right.
If you file it correctly and you have enough power behind it, that it will get pushed back to where it won't even go to court until after the season starts.
But here's the thing, Skip. What Brady had working in his favor, the ruling was handed down in May. And then they got the stay in August. So now, if they rule on this and he doesn't get the stay, what are you going to do? So now, here you are, you're 2 weeks. You're in the season. The season is here right now. Brady had 2 months. Because remember, the punishment came down in May, and in August is when the judge says, okay, nothing is going on. It's a stay. He gets to play. Let's just say, okay, you get 2 months from today, 2 months from when the ruling comes down from the NFL.
Yeah. Okay. So your gut feeling is that he will announce by 4 o'clock today 6 game stands, and you think that he will not play a single game the whole year.
No, he's only suspended for 6 games.
Well, I mean 6 games.
Yeah.
I mean he'll have to eat his 6 games right away, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you believe it'll happen right away?
Yes.
And I don't. I think it'll be no games this year. I think.
He's missing 6 games.
Yeah.
I go back and forth. Are they going to get it in time? Do they let him play 1 game and then the judge? Because Skip, if he just plays Sunday, and the judge and they don't hear this, well, and then he plays Sunday, and now Harold Henderson on Monday comes out. It's a 2-month process. Tom Brady had to wait 2 months for the judge to hear his case in New York.
Okay.
3 months, because it was like June, July, all here sometime. So basically 2.5 months.
So if Harold Henderson says by 4 o'clock today, 6 games, then it will be 2 hours later up to this judge in Sherman, Texas, to rule one way or the other on quote-unquote stay of execution, on injunction. And I say he will rule, yes, you have a case to have an injunction.
Tom Brady filed immediately, Skip, and it wasn't until August that they heard this.
Okay.
So how do you get that they try to file this stay, and all of a sudden the judge is going to hear it tomorrow?
Well, he won't hear it tomorrow, and that's my point.
Yeah.
It'll just drag on through the whole year as it goes to court.
Yeah. No. If Harold Henderson stays this, he says the 6 game stands, the judge doesn't hear this immediately because Tom Brady things didn't get resolved for 2.5 months. What's going to, for 2.5 months from today or Monday of next week?
That's my point. I don't know how you're not getting me. That would be exactly their strategy to delay this until it would become an actual court case. Do they have a case against the NFL? I say they do. They have a much stronger case than Brady had because they have a star witness. They have Kia Roberts testifying against her boss.
But Brady, Skip, listen to me. Brady's, it was going on in the offseason. Commissioner Goodell handed down the 4-game suspension in May. Judge Berman did not rule until August.
Okay.
So if they hand down this punishment now, and the judge doesn't rule for 2.5 months, how does Zeke get to play?
He would grant an injunction. He would say, you have a case. Now let's go to court. That's what the Sherman, Texas judge, Amos Mazant, he's going to become famous overnight.
Famous Amos?
Yeah, famous Amos, yeah.
But Skip, here's the thing. The judge was hearing this. The May came down for Tom Brady. The judge was hearing this in June and July.
Yeah.
So you're assuming that when Harold Henderson says, okay, the 6 game stands, you assuming that the judge is going to say, okay, we got an injunction. Zeke, you go play until we work this out?
I actually think you're starting to get nervous that Zeke is going to get to play the whole year and make you look foolish.
Man, I'm not talking about no Zeke. I'm trying to talk about this matter right here. So do you believe the judge immediately is going to stop this?
Yeah, I do. I think they've got a strong case. Why do you think they filed it?
I'm glad you didn't become a lawyer, because you'd have gave your client some false hope. Oh man, you walking up out of here today, 20 years.
I don't know. I like my chances here.
Okay.
I should be down there representing.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No one.
Very convincing.
Both of y'all will get 6 games.
The one thing I think is not working in Zeke's favor, they're arguing procedure, and Goodell is claiming that he did see Kia Roberts.
Yes.
But to me,
notes.
I'm going to use that as a plus. I'm going to use it in court as you ignored her findings of your director of investigation.
Yes.
The only person who interviewed this woman, and she interviewed her 6 times, and you just dismissed her findings.
You. I don't think it's a good look. I don't think it makes Goodell look better that he claims he did see her.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Commissioner gets to say, yes, I saw the notes that she taken. But in my judgment, remember Article 46 says I have dictatorial powers. Well, so even though I read it, yes, 6 games anyway.
Okay, but remember Judge Berman in Manhattan, laughed at the NFL on procedure and said, you violated this, that, and the other. Gone. I throw you out.
And what did the other court say? He has great latitude under Article 46.
How long did that take? How long did it take?
But, Skip, you're under the assumption that this is going to happen immediately. Remember, Judge Berman had 2.5 months to look over this.
I don't want it to happen immediately. I want it to happen in January or February when the Cowboys have been to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to win it.
6 games.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You
well,
mean electric company?
Hopefully,
1, 2, 3, 4,
Harold
5,
Henderson doesn't side on the side of his former boss or on Jerry Jones, but just does the right thing.
He can't.
That'd be a nice.
He can't.
Yeah. No mercy. This is the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. Before the show moves along, I wanted to tell you today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is a leading provider of premium digital spoken audio information and entertainment on the internet. That means Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine, and newspaper publishers. And good news, Undisputed listeners, you can get a free audiobook with a 30-day trial at www.audible.com/undisputed. And unlike a streaming or rental service, with Audible, you own your books. Membership includes one free audiobook a month, as well as exclusive sales. Download and listen on any iOS device, Android, Amazon Fire Tablet, or Windows Phone. Now, my personal Audible recommendation, I Wear the Black Hat by Chuck Klosterman. I'm way into villains. It's an awesome book. I loved it. Listen to it on Audible. Remember, for your free audiobook with a 30-day trial, go to www.audible.com/undisputed. That's www.audible.com/undisputed for your free audiobook with a 30-day trial. No mercy. The deadline for a decision on Ezekiel Elliott's appeal is today at 4 Eastern. If no decision is made, Elliott will be available to play against the Giants on Sunday. He had 158 rushing yards with a touchdown and 2 losses to New York last season. The Giants coach Ben McAdoo talked about Elliott yesterday. Let's take a listen.
Listen, our focus is on preparing for Dallas, and all backs run the same when there's nowhere to run. So our goal is to do our job and be prepared to stop the run. And, if he's playing, then great. If he's not, then that's great. We're going to play whoever suits up for him.
We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez. Welcome, Tony.
Hey.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Good morning.
What's up, buddy?
We need some tight end wisdom at this table.
We do need some tight end.
Yeah, it's been a little shaky here.
It's O'Shea over here. O'Shea. High clean up,
Oh.
O'Shea, I should have saved this for tomorrow because tomorrow is officially our first one.
Well, it was the day after Labor Day last year.
But it was September 6th, Skip.
Yeah, okay.
So let me ask you a question. Yeah. If you're born on May 15th, do you get to celebrate on May 14th because it fell on a Sunday?
I celebrate all month, so you shouldn't ask me.
No, you don't get a month.
Tony, was it a good idea or a bad idea?
First of all, I'm feeling a little insecure now. The boss comes in here and tells me I'm not dressed nice. What do you think? You don't like my outfit?
Skip.
You don't like my outfit, man?
Did I try? What did I say last week? I said, bro, you coming in here like you going to the bar and having a pint. Bro, you need to come and dress up, put a coat on.
First of all, he'd be having a Modelo.
Yeah, I'd be having a Modelo. But wait a second, what are you wearing right here? What is this? It looks like you fell into some paint.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It's looking good.
The point is, Tony's not taking you very seriously. That's
but the boss came in and spoke, so it's out of my hands.
Did you tell him to come in here?
I didn't tell him.
Yes,
how am I going to tell the boss what to do?
Yeah.
You go in there, Tony's not dressing up. I know I have to.
He's just looking at you like,
I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Now we're getting it out on the table.
Tony, you look.
Yeah.
Was it a good idea or a bad idea for Ben McAdoo to say this?
Oh, I love that. I love it. I think this is great. I love it because he is putting it all on his team. They went out and spent all that money last year on that defense, and they showed up and played outstanding last year. And that is, if I'm a player on the defensive side of that ball, I got to get excited knowing that my coach believes in me and knows that I can go out there and get the job done. Ezekiel Elliott, Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson, I don't care who's out there. We're going to go out there and we're going to stop this team. And that just gives that defense confidence. I love it.
Sometimes, Skip, you do a little better with somebody pushing you in the back. You know what I'm saying, Big Snack Harris? And he knows his coach is on the side. Like, he said, we're going to bottle this thing up. Ain't nowhere to... Skip, let me ask you a question. You put a rat in a maze and you don't give him nowhere to run, guess what he going to do? He going to run round and round, but pretty soon he'll just go stop and stand in the middle.
So you're calling every running back who ever ran with the ball a rat in a maze.
See, there you go. All I'm saying is when you give an individual or animal the same set of circumstances, they will act or behave the exact same way. So when we shut off all these running lanes, all the backs, be it Zeke, McFadden, Morris, Emmitt Smith, Dwayne Thomas, Calvin Hill, who did I miss? Dan Reeves, did I miss anybody? Marion the Barbarian.
Dorset.
Did you say Dorset?
Yeah, Dorset. It doesn't matter because you know what we got? We got those 3 guys out there on Rikers Island, DRC, Apple, who, that jackrabbit wearing cowboy boots up in the stadium with a cowboy hat. Howdy, partner. Oh, Dan Bradley's a heap of trouble. I love it. I love him. See,
is it because you love it or because you both hate the Dallas Cowboys?
No.
That's what I want to get straight.
Cowboys.
Oh, please.
America's team.
I love, some of my best years was playing for Brian Billick because he put it out there. Oh, he's taking shots at everybody. Coach Coughlin, Jeff Fisher, it didn't matter. And when he said it, guess what we had to do? We had to go back it up. Whatever they say we said it.
You both have this so wrong because this is the most smug, condescending, phony, arrogant statement, the most make-me-puke statement I have ever heard from a head coach in the National Football League before a big game. This guy has coached all of 1 year, and he lucked into 2 lucky wins over my Dallas Cowboys last year, all of 20-19 and 10-7. Lucked because in the first one, you know and I know, 2 of my receivers dropped early touchdown passes right in their hands. Those coming from a 4th-round rookie quarterback who in his first NFL game was forced into the starting lineup. Really? And it should have been 14-0, and it was only 6-0, and they lost 20-19. Then up in New York on the night of December the 11th, after it snowed all day in New York, and then some weird weather front came through where it got warmer and everything turned to slush, and neither quarterback could hold on to the football. Ezekiel Elliott, just another back, belittled, just thrown into a corner by Ben McAdoo. It's been much ado about nothing. That's what he is. Ben much ado. I mean, who is he? What did he do last
who
year?
He is.
Ben much ado.
He is the guy that owns a winning percentage against your Cowboys.
Oh, really? So in the second game, somehow Ezekiel, who's just another back, he went for 107 yards, 4.5 a crack. That was pretty good that night because neither team could move the ball. They each had 260 total yards. So Eli hung onto the ball 1 time and threw it to Odell, who hung onto the ball 1 time and got loose because my safety took the wrong angle, 61 yards, and that's it. That's all. Eli threw for 167, but 61 came on what was basically a busted.
How many did Dak throw for?
Well, again, Dak had a QBR of 15, and Eli's was 14.
How many yards?
152 to 167.
So Eli won that one.
Yeah, because he made 1 play. It was a 1-play game, and he won it 10-7.
How many plays do you need to make to win a game?
Wait, did Zeke not run for 100 on 4.5 a crack? That's pretty great, I would say, against that defense.
I gave you the numbers.
Okay.
When they run for a 110 or more, they're 12-0. Less than that, 1-3. What was their record last year?
You know what? This statement is so wrong because he said all backs run the same when there's nowhere to run.
Yes.
That means Barry Sanders, when there was nowhere to run, he ran the same. He went nowhere. That means Emmitt Smith ran the same. He went nowhere when there's nowhere to run. Yeah. Baloney and baloney. And Ezekiel Elliott, you're telling me when he's stuck, there's nowhere to run, he didn't do any? Last year, watch him cut back. There's no place to run. Boom, gone. The other way.
Look at this. Let me tell you about the psychology behind this, okay? Whether he believes it or not, you got to come out and say it because as a player in the NFL, just like you just said, when you get that head coach that's behind you and he puts it out there and he puts that image out there, you have to go back it up. It puts you in a corner as a player that when you see it, and I believe in this too, when you see it and you know it's coming and you have that unshakable confidence and an unshakable belief, there's really nothing that's going to stop you.
Writing the check that the team
I love
has
it.
to catch.
Basically what he's saying, Skip, the reason why they run the same, they run into the arms of the tacklers. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to escape.
So Zeke is just another back.
He's like the rest of them.
Just like all the rest of them.
Hey,
just like Alfred, just like Darren.
Has Zeke run for 100 yards in every game he's played in?
No.
Why not?
Well,
because when there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to go.
Except it just took him a while to figure it out. And once he figured it out, he did run for 100 yards.
Well, he ain't figured the Giants out because he's 0-2.
Okay, but in the first game, he went 21 for a total of 51 yards because you were the first to bring it up the next day. He was overrunning the blockers. He was hitting the hole before it even opened. And it took him 3 games to figure out, I got to gear it back a little bit here. I got to be a little more patient until who's got the best blocking line in pro football? Who does? Help me out.
So hold on.
Thank you.
21 carries, 57 yards.
51 yards.
51 yards. Okay. So I mean, you was quick to bring that up when he had 24 for a buck
they
seven.
still should have won the game.
Yeah, you said, oh, that's 4.5. So what is 21 in the 51?
I don't know. I didn't do the math.
2.6.
So
In his first game in the NFL.
Oh no.
But the great Shannon Sharpe, Hall of Famer, said, he was impatient. He needs to slow it down. And once he started to slow it down, not good things happened, great things happened. He led the league in rushing.
That's not our topic right now.
You guys are way off topic. What are we talking about now?
Do I like that Coach McAdoo said all backs are the same when there's nowhere to run?
You know what I love about it? It's going to go right up on the Cowboy bulletin board. And all week, those offensive linemen, and they got 3 in the top 25 players, are going to walk by that and look at it and say, let's see about that on Sunday night. And Zeke's going to keep walking by it going,
Well, they should be. I tell you, know what else they can see? On that big old bulletin board? Eli Manning signing his name. In the inaugural season, they played their first game. Who beat them there, Skip? Whose name on the wall, Skip? Skip, can I tell you a little stat? I know you like numbers. In the last 20 years, there have been 2 tight ends to have 2 65-plus yards longer touchdowns in the same season.
Did we just change topics?
Yeah, I want to know. You know that?
Wait, can we have a new... Joy has to reset. Bring it up.
No, I want no tea. I don't want no tea. I don't want no tea. I'm talking about tight ends. Hold on. We're talking about tight ends.
What are you talking about, man?
There have been 2 tight ends in the last 20 seasons to have 2 touchdowns in the same season of at least 65 yards or more.
Jason Witten and who else?
I don't even know why this came up, Joy.
I have a feeling that the other one is Shannon Sharpe. Is that it? Big play, Shay.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm like,
what does that have to do with Ben McAdoo talking about the
because I like Ben.
Cowboys
Because like Ben, I throw things out there because, I can back it up. Ben said I got guys that can back it up.
So is that a challenge to Jason Witten or something?
No. Now, you know good and well, Jason Witten ain't about to break off no 60-plus yard touchdown, Joy. Stop.
How do you know that? He looks a little slimmer this year. He looks like he got in great shape.
Okay, I'm going to let Tony, do you believe Jason Witten can go 60 yards right now for a touchdown in an NFL game?
I believe Jason Witten can be at the point of attack and block a defensive end very well. I know there's some tight ends here at this table right now that
would not
block
do that.
a soul.
That's correct.
A soul.
At 49,
they do this. This is their blocking technique. Cut off.
I'm just trying to
cut off.
Hold up.
Go.
You had 2 65-yard touchdowns this season?
I don't even know. I'm not even worried
about
numbers. I don't even worry about
numbers.
I can bring up the stat sheet and compare you guys.
Well, they said Shannon Sharpe had 3 of the best.
I can bring up the stat sheet and compare you and Jason. We did that last time.
Jason who?
Witten.
Well, you compare to what?
The soon-to-be Hall of Fame.
Hold up, Skip. I told you what I did in year 14. I finished second to a guy that was 7 years younger than me. I had 770 yards and missed the last game.
Is Jason,
and 8 tugs.
Help me out. Is Jason Witten going to be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Yes. But guess what? I'm going to be at the table by myself with them rings because I don't really talk to nobody when I'm in that room with the tight end. If they ain't got no rings, I ain't talking.
We'll leave it there. Tony, thanks for joining us.
I ain't talking about no rings.
As always. Your new jacket, man.
No mercy. The Patriots traded third-string quarterback Jacoby Brissett to the Colts for wide receiver Philip Dorsett. Brissett started 2 games last season while Tom Brady was suspended and Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt. Dorsett had 33 catches for just over 500 yards last year for Indy. Shannon, what did this trade tell you?
It tells me what I felt comfortable saying all along, that I believe that this will be Tom Brady's last year in New England.
I do agree with that.
It tells me also that the Patriots believe that they can go into the draft next season and find another Jacoby Brissett. That's what it tells me. Okay. Because, Skip, Tom Brady's contract next year is going to cost cap hit is $22 million. Now, the only way you can keep Jimmy Garoppolo is if you franchise him. Now, this year, the franchise number for quarterback was about, what, $23 million? So next year, it's going to probably go up another 5 to 7%. So you mean to tell me you're going to have 2 quarterbacks on your roster that's gobbling up almost $50 million of your cap?
Unless you ask Tom to take the veteran minimum or, completely
Tom
renegotiate.
like playing, Tom like money, too.
He has taken a hometown discount.
Yeah, hometown discount ain't all the way down to $700, all the way down to $1 million. He got a place up in New York. He got a place up there. He just joined that exclusive country club. He finally got in. He got a place probably overseas somewhere. So Tom Brady ain't really trying to take that kind of haircut at this junction in his career. But he will take a little trim. Skip, I just think it just looks to me. I don't see how you let Jimmy Garoppolo walk for nothing, but I can't see how you franchise it. Because teams know you're not going to keep him on your roster at $23, $24 million, not with Tom Brady with a cap hit of $22 million. So somebody's going to have to go. I feel real comfortable believing that Coach Belichick believes Jimmy Garoppolo can do this. And they're going to give him every opportunity. Now, this is a good trade for both teams. Philip Dorsett was unable to stay healthy. He had a problem holding on to the ball at times, Skip, but this guy has rare speed. He ran 4.33 at the combine. Most guys that run sub 4.4, when it comes to their pro day, they're like, I'm good. He's like, no, I'm faster than that.
He did.
He ran 4.25 and 4.27. So he has ungodly speed.
Yep.
Brandon Cooks, who they traded for, got from New Orleans, he's a sub 4.4 guy. So you have two burners now. The only real burner they've ever had was Randy Moss. Tom Brady had his best season with Randy Moss.
Yep.
50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, still to this day, the only unanimous MVP, although Peyton should have won that thing, a couple of, but that's neither here nor there. Skip, it's telling. I don't see how Jimmy Garoppolo leaves New England going anywhere. They're not going to let him walk for free. Now, we have seen Coach Belichick, as guys get close to like year 9, year 10, he'll let guys go. Lawyer Malloy's, the Ty Laws. He traded Logan Mankins. He traded Richard Seymour. We've seen him, but a guy like this, that he has value, and he knows Jimmy Garoppolo has value. Because the one thing I noticed about Coach Belichick, he knows talented quarterback.
He does.
And he looks around the league and says, the guy that's on the backup on my team is better than 20 to 25 of those guys.
Could make the case.
It's hard for me to believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is not the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots in 2018.
And it's hard to believe he will be traded now that you're a little more exposed without Jacoby Brissett, who at least had a little bit of game experience.
Yes.
And again, remember, he got shut out in his second game playing against
the fourth
Buffalo.
game against Buffalo, correct.
At home, 16-0.
Right.
But clearly, Bill Belichick finally decided Jacoby Brissett is not a long-term answer. He's not going to be a starting quarterback in this league, because you know how I feel. Usually, if you trade a quarterback and he was a third-round pick for a bust, quote-unquote, of a wide receiver, that's a bad value.
Right.
Like you're giving up a quarterback who has some potential, but I think Belichick decides, nope, he's a backup at best.
Right.
So, again, did Indy get their backup of the future? You could make the case, because right now their backup is starting, and I'm not even sure he's a very good backup in Scott Tolzien.
But what happens if let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip, Andrew Luck is out for 6 weeks. Scott Tolzien stinks it up the first 2 to 3 weeks.
He's been stinking it up.
And you bring Brissett in.
Yeah.
Hold on. I thought teams didn't like changing their offense.
I know where this
I
is
mean,
going.
how you bring a guy in 8 days before the first game, Skip, and if something happens to Scott Tolzien, guess who's going to be the quarterback, Skip?
Yep. And
you would have to – I know NFL teams don't change their offense for a quarterback.
And after Indy played Dallas in that preseason game, I said there are 2 teams that need Colin Kaepernick, the Cowboys and the Colts.
So you mean to tell me if you want someone that you're willing to make concessions and you tailor what you do to what he does really well? Because guess what? All quarterbacks' offense is tailored to what they do best. You don't see Tom Brady running no read option, do you? No, because that's not what he does. But you see it with Cam. You see it with Tyrod Taylor.
I saw a little bit of it with Brissett the night he played. He ran some running plays. They called some.
In the third game last year against the Houston Texans, you saw him go, 30 yards for a touchdown on a boot.
He did.
They ain't running no naked boots with Tom Brady like that.
They would not.
Okay, but go ahead, make your point.
Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm with you, is being positioned to be the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots a year from now. That means Tom Brady, I think they'd have to give him the parting gift. I think Mr. Kraft would want to let him go instead of try to trade him where you want him to be, that they would just say, we will cut ties and you can go pick where you want to be.
How about Mr. Kraft say, Tom, I don't want to see you play in any other uniform.
He could try.
Go ahead. Here's a nice little party.
Talk
If I
him
give
out
you
of it.
20, I'll give you like 15, 20. Just go sit down and enjoy.
I don't think you can do that. Doesn't count against the cap?
I ain't got to tell you.
So it's an under the table little
I
thing.
ain't tell you everything I do.
We'll do this. We could pay you to be the ambassador for the club. We could do that.
He said, I didn't tell you did he tell the NFL that he was going to have a party and Judge Berman was going to be invited? He didn't tell the NFL that.
I don't recall that.
You don't recall this, Skip.
They were at the same party. That's wrong. They were at somebody else's party out in the Hamptons, and they just happened to show up on the same night.
A judge.
It wasn't his party. It wasn't Robert Kraft's party.
A judge. Okay. I mean, what does a judge making what, 100,000, 125,000, have to do with a billionaire? Because normally billionaires go to parties hosted by other billionaires. That's normally how it works. You know, when I turn up, I go to a party, then everybody else there turns up. I just say it. That's me, Skip.
You never turn up at any parties that I'm aware of. So back to the trade. Once again, Bill Belichick won this trade.
Yes.
The reason he won it is because Philip Dorsett was completely misused in Indianapolis. And I've told you from the start of the show 1 year ago today, the day after Labor Day, that I don't like the way they use Andrew Luck. And I'm sure it's in part forced by Andrew Luck because he wants to drop back and hold the football and hold the football and hold it a little longer until somebody gets deep and he can throw a home run.
Yes.
And he tries to do it every other play. And so what has been the problem? He starts to take shots. And he's probably taken more shots than any starting quarterback over the last, whatever it's been, 5 years.
Well, since he's been in the league.
Yeah, since he's been in the league.
Yes.
And so where is he now?
Hurt.
He's hurt. And he's going to miss game 1, and it sounds like he's going to miss several games.
Yes.
Okay? So Philip Dorsett, to me, is not a classic deep threat because the longer the route is, the harder time he has catching the football.
Yes.
But he's really good at the underneath stuff.
Yes.
Oh, well, wait. He was traded for to replace Julian Edelman.
I don't think he's that kind of receiver.
I do. I think he's a slot receiver.
Skip, not with that kind of speed.
I think he's a slot receiver. He's a yak guy, yards after catch. But first he has to catch it. Obviously, that's the first thing you have to do. He likes to catch short passes and turn them into long gains.
Yes.
So, again, does he have the spirit of Julian Edelman, the guts, the over-the-middle stuff? Does he have the rapport with Tom Brady? Not yet. But I'm thinking he will. And by all accounts, he is a high-character young man who will fit perfectly. He's not going to make any waves. He's not the diva wide receiver that we see.
What you going to be diva about when you can't get on the field at Indy?
Okay, well, again, he was a late first-round pick, and I will bet you he'll start to play like a late first-round pick over time in New England. Remember I said this. He will be a slot receiver and a dangerous one for Tom Brady.
It's just hard for me to see him as a slot because he has so much speed. When you generate that kind of speed, Skip, it takes you a while. It's hard to slow. It's like, throw that blink on, and the DB knows. That's why they can cover him because there's only a handful of routes he can run. When you like me, you know, you had that deceptive.
I knew we were going to get to you.
Deceptive, Joy, you know what I'm saying?
So shocking.
But Philip.
Wait, do we have any video?
No, I don't want no video. I told you, don't drop no track.
I want to see it.
I'm waiting on Tony to come. I got to say it for Tony. I got it in the camp.
Oh, okay.
But Skip, do you realize how 4.25, 4.27?
What does 4.25 look like when you catch a 5-yard pass and nobody's near you? Then what happens?
Oh, he's scary now.
Oh.
When you run that fast, you're scary.
Whoa. Whoa.
But here's the thing. To do what Edelman does, Edelman doesn't have that kind of speed.
Nope.
But he has that.
He does.
Yeah,
And that's not what Dorsett is.
Well, you also mentioned replacing Edelman. They may use Dorsett as a punt returner as well.
No doubt.
At that speed.
No
and
doubt.
They lost Cyrus Jones as well, so it's a good addition.
And all you got to do on the punt is just catch it. That's all I care about.
No.
That's
You
step
need to bring
one.
it back. Bring it back.
No mercy. Hey guys, it's Joy Taylor. Before the show moves along, I want to bring in a friend of the program to tell you about his exciting new project.
I'm James Andrew Miller, and I want to introduce you to a new podcast called Origins, as we relive indelible turning points that went down in cultural history and changed it, arguably, forever. We'll open Origins with a 5-episode cycle digging deep into Curb Your Enthusiasm. We'll hear from more than a dozen key players who retrace how Curb evolved from mere smash hit to a turning point in television. You can find the Origins chapter on Curb Your Enthusiasm when you search and subscribe to Origins with James Andrew Miller, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Now, back to the show. No mercy. Number 1, Alabama beat number 3 ranked Florida State 24-7 on Saturday night. The Crimson Tide's defense had 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, and shut out the Seminoles in the second half. However, Alabama lost linebackers Terrell Lewis and Christian Miller with season-ending injuries. We're joined by Fox College football analyst Joel Klatt. Welcome back, Joel.
Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Good.
How impressive was Alabama?
I thought they were very impressive. The thing I think that has become most apparent about this program is their balance. They don't lean on one facet of the game. And in college football, a lot of times, in particular on the offensive side, we see programs try to build themselves as an offensive juggernaut or a defensive juggernaut. And Alabama does everything well. So in an evenly matched game, which I thought Florida State, listen, they've recruited really well down with Jimbo Fisher. They've got a great quarterback who unfortunately lost his season due to that injury. They're good on the defensive line. Their secondary is probably the best in the country. They probably had the best player on the field overall in Derwin James. And guess what? It doesn't matter because of the balance of Alabama, and that's a credit to their head coach. That's a credit to their coaching staff. When you're developing a game plan in this sport, what you're doing is you're trying to find a weakness. It's like a strand or a string, on the end of a shirt or something. And you start to try to pull it, and you start to try to pull that string as hard as you can so that everything will start to unravel. That's how football works. Guess what? There's no string to pull with Alabama because you can be evenly matched. They'll beat you in the kick game. You can play pretty well on offense. Their offense will keep up with you. You can shut their offense down. Their defense will shut you down. They are as balanced as it gets in our sport right now.
Go ahead.
Just
give me one St. Nick. You were whispering to me the whole time you were talking. Give me one. Thank you.
Hey, Skip. The second half, the last 6 drives, 21 total yards with 3 turnovers. Where they do that at? This is the 37th time since he's been there. They've shut out an opponent in the second half. You know what shut out means? That means no point. Not even a field goal, Skip. Boy, St. Nick, I don't know. Maybe they cloning folks down there. But I need to get the Birmingham, Tuscaloosa area to see what they got going on. Because Florida State is no slouch. No. And let me tell you why they were the most impressive. Because they played, Clemson looked good, but they played Kent State. Penn State looked good, but look who they played. Were you impressed with USC? You look at all the teams. Ohio State played IU. Really? Florida, I can play quarterback for them right now. They played the number 3 team in the country on a neutral field. 7-point favorite. I wonder who took those 7 points thinking you go get with this. Not opening day. If you play St. Nick on opening day, you taking the L.
It's just you just book it.
Okay, guys, listen. We're gonna start week 2.
Yeah, he just shellacked Sam Darnold's team last year on opening day. Sam Darnold didn't get to play.
Ain't he glad? Ain't he glad?
I will tell you, they haven't given up more than 10 points in a non-conference regular season game since September 2015.
My turn.
Yeah, take your time.
Please.
I was not. I don't know. Silly me. I must have seen a different game. Maybe I switched to the wrong channel. I don't know. Maybe I was watching Alabama State or something. I don't know. But I was not greatly impressed.
Really?
Because in the first half, I saw DeAndre Francois complete, wait a minute, is this right? Maybe I wrote it down wrong. 14 of 22 for 161 just in the first half. And that didn't count his last throw of the first half that went into the end zone. And it was as blatant a pass interference as you will ever see in a college football game. And I saw 3 refs standing within 20 feet of the play looking at it. And because they don't want to throw that flag on St. Nick, and those Alabama fans, even in a neutral site, you just don't want to do that. It's that you
just make them upset, Skip.
Get struck by lightning, man. You can't do it.
You want them to have negative yards?
And again, Jimbo's running onto the field at the end of half saying, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Impressive because of a missed
call? Hold on a second. So that should have made it 14-10 Florida State going to halftime. That's called momentum going into halftime. That's called Nick Saban complaining as he left the field about we gave up way too many easy completions, because they did. Wait a second. They have 3 defensive backs out of their starting 4 who were in Mel Kiper's top 25 projected into
When's the last time Mel Kiper selected a player in the NFL draft?
Well, I'm just saying I have a lot of respect for Mel.
Okay.
I know him well, and I've
let's
critiqued
go by
him for
who's
years.
selected and
he
who's making those decisions.
He is really good at what he does. So he has 3 of the 4 projected. Maybe he'll change some of those, but St. Nick hands-on coaches the secondary, and he's saying we're giving up too many completions. So if we do the math on this, if Francois comes out and has the same kind of half, boy, he'd throw for 300 and some yards, which is what everybody seems to throw on in big games against St. Nick's defense.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, and so wait a second.
That's where you're going to hold on.
Well, no, wait.
Because the facts say something different, Skip. The facts. The data actually says something different.
I got different facts. Yeah.
Alabama, since Nick Saban arrived in Tuscaloosa, which was in 2007, there is no team in college football, 0 teams, that has given up more than 30 points fewer times. 0. You can't find them.
I can show you 10 times in the last 4 years where they gave up 40 points. How do you explain that? Deshaun Watson
they've only given up
toasted them
Actually, the data shows you that they've only given up over 40 points 8 times. They've won 4 of those games. By the way, since
do I have to pull out my list? I
I
didn't know we were going to do this.
Since 2007, they're the best defense in college football.
Let's stay where we are.
Total defense,
because you're not going to be able to
passing
defend
efficiency
this one.
defense.
What happened in the second half on Saturday evening? What happened?
Their special teams won the game.
Oh, really? Their special teams. So on the first big play of the second half, Florida State had to punt, and Alabama's got a hellacious good defense, but it had given up 161 yards passing in the first half, and the punt got blocked. So I'll give you that one, and it goes all the way down to the 6-yard line, so you only have to cash in from 6 yards out.
Yeah.
Then what happens on the next play? Next play is the kickoff, and the kid says, oh, I'm stuck, because they don't get any preseason games, and they don't know, so he's a newcomer.
Alabama didn't get a preseason game either.
All right, and he tries to run it out, and he fumbles and gives it to him at the, 12-yard line, and they quickly cash that in.
Yeah.
And then DeAndre tries to do too much, Francois, and he throws a pick that gives them the ball at the Florida State 42, and they cash that into points, and then it's out of control. And he throws another interception, and the point is, they just self-destructed.
So
I'm supposed to be that impressed with Alabama?
Yeah. Well, who gave you the dynamite so you could self-destruct? Bama.
They did.
Really?
They did. I talked at length with Chris Peterson in preparation for last week's game against Rutgers about his playoff appearance and what it was like, what he learned about his team. And one of the things that was so interesting, here's a coach that, as the numbers go, is the most successful coach in college football that doesn't have a national championship, Chris Peterson. He's been incredible ever since he was the head coach at Boise State and now at the University of Washington. And what he said struck me. He said, we don't often play teams, maybe we've never played a team that required us to be as perfect as we needed to be that night against Alabama. And, he said, we played probably 98% of the snaps right with them, toe to toe. But you miss one tackle or you miss one interception opportunity or the ball hits the ground and you're not the team that jumps on it, guess what happens? They win.
I wonder if Tebow would say that. I don't think Tebow would say that right now.
I think he would, because I think Tebow understands the type of effort that it took to get to one play for the entire title. I mean, listen,
Deshaun Watson almost put up 1,000 yards
and
in
they
2
almost
games.
lost. And they were a snap away from losing.
Wow.
Hey, Skip. If you're gonna take historically great performances in national championship game and says, okay, they lost. It's like Vince Young, what he had against USC. Sometimes guys have historically great games. You talk about that, you can go through 8 games, but Nick Saban has been the coach at Alabama for 150. So if you talk about once every 12 games, what are we talking about, Skip?
Come on, I saw Oklahoma score 40. I saw Manziel put up 40 and also beat them at Tuscaloosa by
Skip.
just roasting
We didn't say he was invincible, but I
saw Auburn score 40 against him.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Again, we just talked about it. I saw Ezekiel Elliott run for 230 yards against Ain't Nick's defense. Are you kidding me?
Skip, look, there are anomalies. Cam Newton.
There are too many anomalies. They're not
the man
anomalies.
The man has been the head coach down there for what, 11 years? So 11 years. And you name 8 games in 11 years. What about those 4 national championships?
But no great defense gives up 40 points.
Yes, they do.
Chad Kelly just torched them twice.
I'll go back to this.
Chad Kelly.
In Nick Saban's tenure, Alabama has statistically the best total defense, scoring defense, pass efficiency defense, rushing defense. They've given up the fewest first downs, and he's won the most games in that time period.
And most national championships.
There's not many barometers that you can put up
and
that
he
hasn't
There's some
exceeded.
Nickel States games in there, and the point is,
Which team,
in the big games,
what
the ones
school
that
doesn't
really
play
matter,
Nickel State?
the ones that really matter, there are too many 40s against too many good teams.
Okay, tell you what, opening game, tell them other teams to play a Florida State. Tell them to play a USC that's ranked. Tell them to play a Wisconsin that's ranked.
I'm impressed. Way to go. Yeah, and tell the referees to
Don't
make it even.
do this, Skip. Don't do
Just
that.
tell them to make it even.
No mercy. Tim Tebow's first minor league season is over. The former NFL quarterback played 126 games between low-A Columbia and the Mets' single-A team. Tebow hit .226 with 8 homers, but he also struck out 126 times. Tebow said his offseason will consist of, quote, a lot of training. We're joined once again by Rob Parker.
What's happening?
Rob, you the baseball aficionado.
You claim that you know baseball. We'll see if you do. You know.
Was Tebow's first year a success or a failure?
It was a partial success.
Wow, Rob Parker
Okay.
said that.
And hear me out. Partial success from this standpoint.
Hear him out, Shannon.
Okay.
Hear me out,
Hear me out, Shannon.
Okay? He didn't totally embarrass himself going to the minor leagues and playing, even at lower A ball. I know he batted .226, 8 home runs. There's nothing to write home about. He's not making it to the major league. He's no closer to the major leagues than you are, Shannon Sharpe, okay? So there's no doubt about it.
I think he's a little closer
No,
to Shannon.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
He's
because
not.
he's close to it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in California,
Is that it?
in a shirt and tie, but if I had a baseball bat and a batting helmet on,
You would
I'd
be just as close. Exactly. And this is the other thing. The Mets made it clear. Remember, had a little hot streak going, and they were talking about she's coming up for September. And Sandy Alderson, the general manager, said, "Dude,
They did.
he's
They made
not
it clear.
coming up."
They stood by that.
Am I right? And then he's not coming up. And they're not going to just promote a guy and move him up above people and he's not really ready to get there. He's not a major leaguer. He won't make it to the major leagues. What he did was he was able to burn some summer, you know what I mean, and have a hobby.
Yeah.
And it was good. I mean, competitive juices for a guy who can't make it in the NFL. And the other part is, Shannon, there's a couple other stats that they left out when they talk about his home runs and RBIs. He also helped 14 old ladies across the street down in Port St. Lucie, and he saved 3 kittens from the tree. So he had
Did he really? I didn't read about that. I don't remember
Well,
that.
I didn't read all that in the paper, but I'm going to be honest with you, Skip, because you know I keep it 100 up here. Failure. That's what it's been. 226. I am going to evaluate Tim Tebow like I would evaluate any other player. And you and I both know if he was 30 years old, hit 226, they would not even invite him back to come back to camp. Oh, he's a power hitter. Hadn't hit a home run in his last 31 games. What kind of power is that? Oh, no, I'm not grading him on a curve. I once asked one of my teachers, are we grading on a curve today? She said, no, I'm going to give you what you get on the test. So whatever you make, that's what you get. Ain't no curves. Tim Tebow, you hit 226 in low A minor ball. I'm judging you like any other 226. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to even call him that. Player A hit 226, Rob. He had 8 home runs. He didn't hit a home run in his last 31 games. Player B hit 226, Rob. Didn't hit a home run in his last 31 games. What do you think, Rob? Is that pretty good?
No.
Okay. So for you to sit there and say, because the guy hadn't played in 11 years. That's not
all I'm saying is, and I agree with you, when you look at the numbers, there's nothing to write home about other than he didn't totally embarrass himself considering that he hadn't played baseball in that long. That's the only thing I'm going to give him after not playing. Baseball's a hard game. It's repetition. You got to be able to play over and over and to step away from the game for 11 years and get in there and not be a total embarrassment and bat 071, and strike out every other time is an accomplishment.
Was he an embarrassment?
No.
No.
That was not the question.
Oh.
Don't make up their own question. The question was, Tim Tebow, was his first season a success or failure? It mentions nothing about embarrassment. Okay, so was it a success or a failure?
That was pretty good, Shannon. Maybe you could fill in for me.
There you go.
Success, not semi, not quasi. Success or failure.
Yep.
He's no closer. You're no closer to being able to fill in for her. His first season was clearly successful. I'm not going to say wildly successful or extremely successful, but Rob Parker, for once, is dead right. This is the hardest game to play, especially when you get thrown into that fire with all those talented kids, the many talented kids who are starting in the Arizona Fall League, leading to low A ball, then to high A ball. And I'm going to, again, I thought, I didn't think he'd be any better than this, but I did not think he'd be worse than this. And I saw 3 positive stretches that at least indicate that he deserves another year. Just one more year, and you can start him at high A, you can start him at double A, the way Michael Jordan did. And by the way, speaking of power, Tim Tebow did hit 8 home runs in his first year of minor league baseball. Michael Jordan hit 3. So he had 5 more home runs in about the same sort of number of games. So what did we see? I told you, late in the Arizona Fall League, this is against highly talented kids on the doorstep of going to the big leagues. His last 11 games, he hit .281 with a .425 on base. That's pretty good. Then when he got promoted to high A ball in his first 28 games, this is a big sample, he hit .315 with a .400 on base. And you know and I know, 400 on base, that'll play. That'll play. Again, is it a long, long shot for him to make it to the big? Yes, it is. But I told you, at least I give him a little shot if he wants to stick this out and do it for 3 or 4 years. Now, he's 30 years of age now.
No, he's got one more year.
He's got one more year. But he finished with a flourish. His last 6 games, he hit .375 with 9 hits in those last 6 games.
With the home run power. Where's the home run power?
I was surprised, but if you track these kids, these power hitters like an Aaron Judge, they never show that much power their first year in A-ball. They just don't. Like Aaron Judge, he hit 17 total home runs in 131 Class A games his first year out. 17? Well, that's only 9 more than Tebow hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't manifest itself right away. It takes time.
Is 17 more than... Hold on,
okay, but in 131 games? Seriously?
Well, Tim Tebow played 120. So this is what I'm trying to get at. You said he put together 3 straight stretches.
3 stretches, not straight.
3 stretches.
Yeah, that indicate...
In 126 games.
And I'm counting the Arizona Fall League,
okay.
too. Yeah.
But you ripped Coach Saban for giving up 10 back.
He doesn't belong in this.
No, I'm just saying.
Wait, is this the first year Nick's ever coached?
No,
Did he leave coaching for the last 11 years and then to start fresh at Alabama?
I'm trying to understand. Really? I'm trying to understand.
What? No, wait. Did Nick Saban get out of coaching for 11 years and then decide to coach basketball? That's what it would be like, right? Did he?
Whose problem is this? He chose to play NFL football, and because he wasn't any good at that, he wanted to find a new hobby. And he's no better at this than he was at that.
Wait, he led a team to a division title from 1-4 and won a playoff game, but he was no good. Help me out.
Rob,
I don't get that.
Rob, even an alley cat will find a whole chicken in the trash because even the best chef will burn something.
Yeah, but will they do it over 14 straight days or games in this case?
Skip.
No, they won't.
Skip. You're going to base one season. What have you done
this
for me
was
lately?
actually pretty good because baseball is so hard. Look at, like, Aaron Judge, post-All-Star break. What's happened? Again, you proclaimed it, and he may be someday better than Derek Jeter. But since the All-Star break, he's hit in 48 games, he's hit 182, and his on-base is 349. Does that mean he's a bust?
No.
It's hard.
He's leading the American League in home runs and could have over 40 home runs when it all comes out.
But it's hard.
No, it is hard.
Yeah.
He's doing that in the major leagues.
No, I get it.
That'll be like Shannon Sharpe caught 5 passes in a high school football game.
Skip, I guess my question
right now,
to you...
Shannon couldn't catch 5.
You won't bet nothing.
Yeah.
My question is, next year is probably it. When
you
agree at 30 years old,
but you know what?
31 years old.
I think Tim would tell you next year's it. He needs to see progress.
No.
But again,
it's never going to be it.
Is he going to make it to the major leagues?
He's under the brightest spotlight of anybody he played against. Everybody's watching Tebow. Am I right?
Why is his name on his bat?
What do you mean, why is it on?
Why is his name on his back? He ain't no home run hitter.
He didn't need his name on his back. Everybody knows who Tebow is.
I say, why is his name on his bat?
Bat.
But it's not over, Rob.
Now we're ripping him for having his name on his bat?
Guess what he's going to do?
That's
he's going to drop 25 pounds, and he's going to try to ride the Tour de France. I've always wanted to ride in the Tour de France. There's always going to be something.
We'll get a huge boost in ratings.
Yes.
Don't worry about
it.
And he ride one stage.
And he will ride clean.
Record for total home attendance with a month remaining in the season.
Is that right?
Yep.
So that's what he's known for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is an entertainment business at the end of the day.
I ain't paying him to entertain. I'm paying him to hit the ball over the fence.
No, actually, a little bit of it is.
No, I know. I know. I want to give me.
He's got one more year.
He can be boring
before they put somebody else in.
He can be boring. But can he get the ball over the fence? Can he hit?
Well, he hit 8.
226 is not good.
I can throw 5 of them over the fence from home plate.
Well, would you have said Aaron Judge is going to break all the home run records after his first year in A-ball?
Well,
no, you wouldn't have.
When you get to the major league, then we'll talk about it.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.